If anybody had told me that my son, whom I risked my life for and was burnt for his sake and almost died, will one day deny me in front of his friends, and even call me a beggar, I would have said it's a lie. I would have sworn on the Bible that my Samuel can never do such. But life showed me something different. It all started many years ago. I was still a young woman then, a widow. My husband died when Samuel was just 2 years old. Things were hard, but I did everything I could to take care of him. I sold a kara in the morning, and sometimes roasted corn in the evening just to pay his school fees and feed us. We lived in a small wooden house at the end of the street. It wasn't much, but it was home. That night, I had just put Samuel to bed. It was during Harmattan, so the weather was cold. I remember covering him with wrapper and praying before sleeping. I didn't know that the devil had planned something that night. I woke up to the smell of smoke. At first, I thought maybe somebody was burning refuse outside. But when I opened my eyes, I saw fire at the corner of the room. It was spreading fast. I screamed for help. Neighbors started shouting, "Fire! Fire!" People were running, fetching water, but the fire was too much. I remembered Samuel was still inside. My heart almost stopped. One man shouted, "Mama Samuel, don't go inside. You will die." But how can I stay outside when my only child is inside? Before I knew it, I ran inside. The heat was like it wanted to peel my skin. I couldn't even see clearly because of the smoke. I heard Samuel coughing and crying, "Mama! Mama!" I didn't think twice. I grabbed him and held him close to my chest. The fire burnt my back, my arms, even part of my face, but I used my body to cover him so that nothing will touch him. I was shouting, "Jesus! Jesus!" as I struggled to find my way out. When we finally came out, people were shouting, "Jesus! She came out! She came out!" Samuel was fine. Not even one burn on his body. But me, my skin was gone in many places. They rushed me to the hospital. The doctor said it was a miracle that I survived. From that day, my body was never the same. Big scars covered my back, my arms, and my face. I looked in the mirror and sometimes even I got scared of myself. But I always told myself, it's worth it. Samuel is alive. That's all that matters. What I didn't know was that one day, these same scars will make my son ashamed of me. Samuel grew fast. He was a very smart boy in school, always coming first or second in his class. I made sure to pay his school fees on time, even if it meant I had to borrow or go hungry. I told myself, this boy will become great, and my suffering will not be in vain. But as he got older, I started noticing something. When he was in primary school, some children used to point at me whenever I came to pick him. They would whisper, laugh and say things like, "See his mama face. Wetting burn your mama like this. Why she be like witch?" The first few times, Samuel would just hold my hand tighter and we'd go home. But as time went on, I noticed he didn't want me to come to school again. He would say, "Mama, don't worry, I will come home myself after school." At first, I thought maybe he just wanted to act like a big boy. But one day, I overheard him telling one of his friends, "My mama no day come school because she get wound for face. People go laugh." That thing broke my heart. I never told Samuel how I got burnt. I didn't want him to grow up with the weight of guilt. So whenever he asked me as a small boy, "Mama, who burn you?" I would just say, "It's a long story. One day you will know." By the time he entered secondary school, he completely stopped walking with me in public. If we were in the market and he saw one of his schoolmates, he would quietly move away and pretend we were not together. At home he was still respectful, but I could feel the gap growing. One evening, I tried to talk to him. "Samuel, my son, you are changing towards me. Is something wrong?" He just shrugged. "Nothing, Mama." But his eyes told me there was something. Despite everything, I kept praying for him. I used to kneel down every night and say, "Lord, this boy you gave me, please keep him in your path. Let him not forget me when you bless him." After secondary school, by God's grace, he got admission into the university. I sold almost everything valuable in the house to pay his first-year fees and buy his things. I believed that once he graduated, things would change for us. I didn't know it was just the beginning of my tears. When Samuel entered university, it was like a new world opened for him. He started meeting new people, children from rich families, people who dressed fine, carried expensive phones, and spoke big grammar. I was happy he was mingling with people who could expose him to better opportunities, but I didn't know that same exposure would also take him far away from me. At first, he used to call me every week. "Mama, I'm fine. School is going well." Then the calls reduced to once in 2 weeks, then once in a month. Sometimes I would be the one to call, and he would say, "Mama, I'm in class. I'll call you back." But he never did. Whenever he came home on holidays, he stayed mostly indoors or went out to see his friends. He didn't follow me to the market again. Even when we went to church, he would walk ahead of me or pretend he was busy on his phone. One holiday, I decided to visit him in school to surprise him. I cooked his favorite soup, packed some foodstuffs, and traveled all the way. When I got there, one of his friends opened the door. The way the boy looked at me from head to toe made me feel like something was wrong. "Who you dey find?" he asked. "I'm looking for Samuel, my son," I replied. Before he could answer, Samuel came out from his room. The moment he saw me, his face changed. He smiled small, but it was the kind of smile you give when you are not happy to see someone. He took the bag from me quickly and said, "Mama, you for call before coming now." That day, I noticed he didn't even introduce me to his friends as his mother. He just said, "This is, someone from home." My heart sank, but I kept quiet. I told myself maybe he was just shy. By his final year, Samuel had changed completely. He started dressing in expensive clothes, wearing gold chains, using iPhones. I didn't know where the money was coming from because I wasn't sending him that kind of money. Whenever I asked, he would say, "Mama, I'm doing small business." I didn't want to suspect him, so I kept praying that whatever he was doing was clean. When he finally graduated, I was the happiest mother on earth. I danced in church that Sunday and gave testimony. I said, "The God who helped me raise this boy without a husband will take him far." I didn't know the far would be so far that I would no longer be in his life. After graduation, Samuel moved to Lagos. He said there were more opportunities there. At first, he struggled a bit, but it didn't take long before things started changing. One day, he called and said, "Mama, I've gotten a good job." I shouted hallelujah over the phone. I even danced alone in my small room. In my mind, I was thanking God that my years of sacrifice had finally paid off. But after that call, Samuel's calls became fewer. I would be the one to call most times, and sometimes he wouldn't pick. When I managed to reach him, he would say, "Mama, I'm busy, I'll call you later." The later rarely came. Months passed. I started hearing from people that Samuel was doing very well. One of our neighbor's children saw him in Lagos driving a big car. Another said he saw him in a video on Instagram wearing gold chains and spraying money in a club. I didn't want to believe gossip, but one day, I saw it with my own eyes. A young boy in the area was scrolling on his phone and showed me a video. "Mama Samuel, see your peeking O. He day for this big party in Lekki." I smiled weakly. Deep down, I was happy he was doing well, but I was sad he wasn't doing anything for me. Meanwhile, my life was getting harder. My Akara business was no longer moving because a new woman had started selling by the main road. My body still pained me from the burns I suffered years ago. The scars made it hard for me to work long hours in the sun. Sometimes, I would fall sick for days and have to borrow money for medicine. I wanted to tell Samuel that I was struggling, but each time I tried, he would cut me short. "Mama, things are not as easy as you think. I'm still trying to settle myself." But not long after, people said they saw him buying drinks worth hundreds of thousands at a club. One day, I became very sick. I was coughing badly and had severe body pains. The local clinic said I needed some tests, but I didn't have the money. I swallowed my pride and called Samuel. "Samuel, my son, I'm not feeling well." Please can you send me small money to do some tests? He sighed loudly on the phone. Mama, I'm tight right now. I'll send something later. Weeks passed. No money came. I survived that sickness by God's grace and the help of one church member who gave me some medicine. But I never stopped praying for Samuel. Every night I would kneel down and say, Lord, wherever my son is, keep him safe. Have mercy on him. Bring him back to you and to me. What I didn't know was that the day was coming when I would see him face to face, but in a way that would break me completely. It was a Saturday morning when I finally decided to go and see Samuel in Lagos. I had been hearing too many things about how wealthy he had become, and part of me just wanted to see my son with my own eyes. I also wanted to talk to him about my health, because it was getting worse. I didn't tell him I was coming. I borrowed some money for transport from a woman in our church, packed my small bag, and carried a little gift, a bottle of palm oil and some dry fish. I couldn't afford much, but I thought, at least, I should go with something from home. The journey was long and tiring. By the time I reached his street in Lekki, my wrapper was soaked with sweat. The gate was tall and painted black. I told the security man I was looking for Samuel, my son. He gave me one kind of look, then pressed a button. A small camera above the gate turned and faced me. I didn't know there was a camera watching. After a while, the gate opened. I walked inside slowly, looking around. The compound was big, with fine flowers and shiny cars. I was still admiring when I saw Samuel coming down from the staircase at the entrance. He was wearing white clothes and a gold chain on his neck. His friends, about 2 young men and 2 ladies, were sitting in the living room behind him, laughing and drinking. The moment Samuel saw me, he froze. His face changed. "What are you doing here?" he asked quietly. I smiled. "I just came to see you, my son. It's been long. I brought you small palm oil and fish from home." Before I could move closer, one of his friends laughed and asked, "Guy, who be this?" Samuel looked at me, and then looked at them. "Ah, maybe she's one beggar looking for help," he said. "I don't really know her." Those words entered my chest like a knife. I wanted to speak, to tell them I was his mother, but my mouth refused to open. Tears rolled down my face. He reached into his pocket, brought out some money, maybe 5,000 naira, and threw it towards me. "Here, madam, take. God bless you," he said, with a fake smile. The laughter from his friends filled the room. My legs felt weak. I bent down, picked the money, and walked out without a word. My hands were shaking. My heart was shaking. Everything in me was shaking. I didn't know that was the last time I would see my son alive. I left Samuel's compound that day with my eyes full of tears. The money he threw at me was still in my hand, but it felt like fire. I didn't even know if I should keep it or throw it away. My chest was heavy. I kept asking myself, how did it come to this? Is this the same boy I carried for 9 months? The same child I entered fire to save? As I walked to the bus stop, I was talking to God in my heart. "Lord, you see everything. If this is my cross, give me strength to carry it. And please, forgive my son. Have mercy on him." I was about to cross the main road to enter a bus when I heard a loud horn. Before I could move, a car hit me. The world spun around me. I fell to the ground, my bag flying one way, the palm oil breaking and spilling on the road. People gathered immediately. "She's still breathing." Someone shouted, "Call ambulance." Another person said. I tried to open my eyes, but everything was blurry. I felt pain all over. Somewhere inside me, I knew I might not survive. I whispered with the little strength I had left, "Lord, into your hands. I commit my spirit." That was the last thing I remembered. By the time the ambulance got to the hospital, I was gone. Samuel didn't even know his mother had died. He was busy that night in a club, drinking and dancing. He didn't hear the news until 2 days later, when someone from their village called him. They told him his mother was in the hospital and he needed to come home urgently, but Samuel didn't come. He sent a small amount of money and told them he was busy with important work. People in the community shook their heads. But not long after, Samuel's shining life started to crash. First, he lost his job. The company said they were downsizing, but many believed it was because he was caught in some shady business deals. Then his girlfriend left him. His so-called friends started avoiding him. The expensive car he was driving got repossessed by the bank. One by one, everything he had built around himself collapsed. One night, sitting alone in his small rented room, far smaller than the mansion he used to stay in, Samuel thought about his mother. He remembered the day she came to see him, the way she looked at him, the way she left without saying a word. Something heavy entered his chest. For the first time in years, tears fell from his eyes. "I need to see my mother," he said to himself. "I need to tell her I'm sorry." Samuel packed the little clothes he had left and traveled back to the village. As the bus drove in, he looked through the window at the familiar dusty roads. Children were playing by the roadside. The small market women were shouting to sell their goods. It was all the same, except my small wooden house was empty. He went straight to the house of Mama Grace, their elderly neighbor. The moment she saw him, she sighed deeply and shook her head. "Samuel, you're late," she said quietly. "What do you mean?" he asked, his heart beating fast. "Your mother, she died months ago. She's buried behind the small church." The words hit him like a hammer. "No, Mama, no." He dropped to his knees right there in front of her. "I came to beg her. I came to tell her I'm sorry." Mama Grace put her hand on his shoulder. "Your mother knew you would come one day. She told me that if you ever returned looking for her, I should give you something." She went inside her house and came back with a small wooden box. She said, "My son will come looking for me. When he comes, give him this. He will understand everything." Samuel's hands shook as he took the box. He went straight to the back of the church where she was buried. The grave was simple, with a small wooden cross. He sat on the ground, placed the box on his lap, and opened it. Inside, there was an old, folded letter and a small, burnt baby's blanket. He unfolded the letter slowly. It read, "My dear Samuel, if you are reading this, it means I am no longer here. I want you to know that I have always loved you, from the day I carried you in my womb till my last breath. Many years ago, when you were just 4, our house caught fire at night. You were sleeping inside. Everyone was afraid to enter, but I could not stand outside and watch my only child burn. I ran inside, and the fire burnt my body, but I used myself to cover you. That small blanket in the box was the one I wrapped around you. You came out without a scratch. I came out with scars for life. I never told you because I didn't want you to live with guilt. I wanted you to grow up happy. Even when you became ashamed of me, I prayed for you every day. I asked God to keep you safe and bring you back to Him. If you ever remember me, remember this. God's love for us is far greater than what I could ever give you. Even when we are ashamed of Him, He still loves us. I forgive you, my son. Always. Your loving mother." Samuel held the letter to his chest and wept until his body shook. He kissed the grave, crying, "Mama, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't know." But it was too late. No amount of tears could bring me back. She was gone. He clutched the letter to his chest, his shoulders shaking as regret washed over him. All the times he had avoided walking beside her in public, all the times he had pretended not to know her in front of his friends, all the sharp words he had thrown at her, they came back to stab his heart. It was too late to say, "I'm sorry." Too late to say, "I love you." Too late to say, "Thank you for giving me life twice." Kneeling beside her grave, he wept bitterly, his voice trembling as he prayed. "Lord, forgive me. I was blind. I didn't see the treasure you gave me. Thank you for giving me a mother who loved me more than herself. Please, help me live a life that will make her proud, and help me never be ashamed of the gifts you give me, no matter how they look to the world." The end. I hope you learn to honor your parents while you still have them. Don't wait for their absence to realize their value. This story is also an illustration of how Christians are ashamed of identifying with Christ despite what He did for us on the cross of Calvary. I hope you enjoyed the story. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. God bless you.